So now we're going to pass data into our template. But before we do that, I just want to take a second to review what we saw in the last video. And that was all about parsing our files and then executing them. So parse and execute, just ingrain that in your head. That's what you want to do. I want to parse all my templates and then execute a template. And we're going to use parse glob and execute template to do that. But I've just pulled out some of the functions which I think are the highlights from the text template package. And so here's type template, and again, you read that. So some people look at that, students look at that and get the double speak, like, what? Template? Programming's crazy. But this is package, and this is like some type or some function or variable. And so here we have package template, type template. And then what we do is we parse, and then we execute. And for parsing, we'll be using parse glob, and that gives us a pointer to a template. But there's also parse files up at the top, package level. And once we have a value of type pointer to a template, we could add more files into our container, that value of type pointer to a template. And we could do that with parse, parse files, or parse glob, right? So we also have those methods attached to a value of type pointer to a template. And then we execute our templates. And we could use execute or execute template. In this course, we'll be using execute template with parse glob, right? And we'll be doing that by using the helper function template must, which just gives us back the pointer template, and then also the init function. All right, cool. So that's a little bit of a review. But now we're going to learn how to pass data into our templates and how we get that data to display once we pass it in. So the syntax for displaying data is curly braces, two curly braces, two curly braces. And then the data is a dot. And so the dot might seem kind of strange when depending upon where you're coming from, but the dot is the current value of the data at that point in execution. And so if I've just passed in a piece of data, it's the data that I've just passed in. And if that data happened to be a slice and I was ranging over the slice, then as I ranged over the slice, the output of that range would become the new input of the next field, and we'll see that in action. But for now, the dot is the current piece of data, and the current piece of data is whatever I passed in. So what am I passing in this program? Instead of having nil, which I had before, right, I'm now going to pass in 42, which is the answer to the meaning of life. The meaning of life is 42. And so, yeah, so 42 got passed into my template. Let's watch it run. The meaning of life is 42. Cool. And so that's it. You want to pass data in, you pass it in right there. And you only get to pass in one piece of data. So that trips people out a little bit. It's like, what? Wait, how's that work if you're coming from other server-side programming? But you pass in one piece of data. But fortunately, we could pass in a piece of data which is an aggregate data type, right? So it's an aggregate data structure. So we could pass in a struct, which has a whole bunch of fields. And those fields could be, values of type map or of type slice or of type another struct. And so really we could pass in as much as we want, but you only get to pass in one piece of data or data structure, and then you could access that when you get into your template. So that's how you pass data into a template.